We'll get going. So hello, today we were supposed to be at Laidlaw and we're already planning for future dates. We will get together. But I thought it might be really lovely just to spend some time together and to connect, and maybe I'll share some of my secrets about how, I manage my emotions and some of my little techniques, but also a chance to really get everyone together and just to connect and say, we're thinking of you. We're here for you, even though we're not all in Laidlaw together, and just to get a chance to kind of say hello, really, heart to heart. So I thought we'd try a little bit cheeky. I don't know how it's going to work, and with people without videos on. So I know that on gallery view, everybody's in a different order. Now on mine, the people with the videos all are on the top row, so it looks like we're all next to each other. So I just wondered if we put our hands to the edge of our screens as if we're up against. Oh, you've got to get your left and right. So that we kind of are just connecting and say, look to your left, look to your right, and go, hello. So I've got Jennifer on one side of me and Nicole on the other.
Hi.
And that was a cheeky way of kind of recognizing that we are all together in the same space in one quantum way, even if we're not in the same room yet, but we will be soon. One of the things that I love doing around managing my state, managing emotion, is breathing work. Sarah, who spoke at the conference last year, Sarah Crothers and I, we've just written a book on breathing in coaching. So it's a bit of our passion at the moment. And I don't know if you're aware, there's a kind of ideal breathing pattern for creating calm. Now, if you are in a very stressed place, the research says you want to do a longer breath out. So you might breathe in for 4 and you might breathe out for 8. But assuming none of you are sat there really stressed, what's a great place to find calm when you're already kind of in the middle and maybe you want to meditate or maybe you want to connect with God? And I found this really interesting book that talked about monks and chanting. And it had never occurred to me that some of the chants that are used are timed deliberately to fit with breathing that creates balance. So what they say is that the verbal part of the chant, which is obviously the breath out, needs to be between 5 and 6 seconds. So I've been playing this week and kind of timing myself and going, what can I say in 5 or 6 seconds? That would be a lovely kind of connection with God, a start to prayer, a start to, some meditation or contemplative prayer. And I came up with, and of course it depends how fast you say it, but I can do it at a quite nice pace with just this simple sentence. And I thought we'd all play with it and try it. So it's, God of glory, we give you praise. Very, very simple. Except we're going to slow that right down. So I thought we'd all have a go. If you want to mute yourself so you're not audible, that's fine. If you want to stay online and be heard, that's fine too. If you want to say it in your head rather than out loud, that's great. If you want to sing it, that's great. I thought just for maybe 3 or 4 rounds of that, we'd have a go and see how it makes us feel. So before we start, just check in with your body. How are you feeling right now? Are you feeling any stress at all, or are you feeling really relaxed and almost kind of, a little bit so calm you're out of it? Where's God for you in this moment? Is he inside of you or outside of you? To the left, to the right, to the front, to the back, above, below? Where is that sense of God right now? So that you can say this to him. And you might want to even turn to where you experience him, or if he's inside of you, place your hand where you feel him. And then we're going to say that sentence a few times. So the out breath needs to say about 5 seconds or so. And then we're going to breathe in for 5 seconds through the nose. And it's not a big gasp. It's a slow, steady, gentle breath that goes deep down into the diaphragm. So if we start with the breath in, . God of glory, I give you my praise. Breathe in again. God of glory, I give you my praise. God of glory, I give you my praise. Just feel where he is and speak directly to him. Breath in. God of glory, I give you my praise. One last time. God of glory, I give you my praise. And then feeling into your body again, just having played with that, and it wasn't exquisitely timed. I didn't have a little timer going. I didn't have any bells to mark the 5 seconds each time. But how does your body feel differently? Does it feel differently? Anyone want to comment or say, how was that? What did it feel like?
It brought peace to me.
Peace, beautiful.
I suddenly heard the birds sing and the clock ticking, which I hadn't noticed before.
Beautiful. So a quietness and a stillness within that allows you to hear more, be more aware of the environment that you're in. That's beautiful. One of the things I'm really loving about lockdown is I have a beautiful bush view out the back of my house, and the realization of the lack of car noise, so that I can hear the birds. I can hear the birds so much more vividly, and it's beautiful. And we talk about the still small voice of God. But if we're so busy and we're so, thinking busy, talking busy, doing busy, we maybe don't allow that space to hear the still small voice of God. So it's a really simple, lovely technique. You can play with it yourself and create your own phrase that you want to say that maybe is a little bit more authentic to you than one I came up with. All of the research says that to get beautiful balance, you want a breath of 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. You can get breathing timers. If you look up breathing pacing on Google, there's some graphic ones that open up, or there's some auditory ones. Once you get used to what 5.5 seconds feels like, you don't need to kind of be paced anymore. You can just do it for yourself. If you have a very strong head voice, like a lot of people do, give it a job to do and let it count for you. So it's a great way of stopping down the, what are we having for dinner? I wonder what the decision is today. I wonder how many cases there are today, or whatever it is, wherever your head voice is going. If you give it a job to do, it's a really, really beautiful way of distracting it, basically in a safe way. And then you can just settle and come into that beautiful breathing. So that's my number one. Breathing is always my number one go-to. There's lots of different forms of breath work. As I say, knowing whether you want to breathe in more or out more is really key. If you want to get up and do something, maybe you want to go for a nice walk or a run or a bike ride, whatever it is, then you might want to do a few really big in breaths and get your body ready for movement. If you want to go to sleep at night, or you want to rest or relax, then you want to deliberately do long out breaths. And double, so you can do 4 in and 8 out. That works really well. You can play with that. So you can, if you've got a windmill, I always have windmills in my office for when I'm coaching children. I don't explain anatomy or timing to them. I just get them to blow the windmill. And of course, by then it's a long breath out. Same with bubbles. You can play with bubbles. Or you can just imagine that your finger is a candle. And imagine you're blowing very gently. You don't want it to go out, but you just want to let the flame move slightly. So lots of really lovely ways of creating that calm in a moment. All very, very simple. We just have to remember to do it. One of our other speakers for the conference this year is Lynn Packer, and she just published a book this year called What If? And I don't know if you've ever heard of the techniques called havening. Havening is a psychosensory touch technique. It's a beautiful, simple, gentle way of changing the way our neurology speaks in our body, basically. And one of the techniques of that is called affirmational, which is a bit of a cheeky name. I think they've made that word up. But it is basically what Lynn's written about. It's what if. So I thought my second one I was going to give you today as my tip is a havening what if, but I thought you could all come up with the what ifs. So let me just explain what havening is before we start. It is about psychosensory touch. There's 3 positions in the body where we have a lot of the particular nerve fibers where this works. One of them is the palm of your hands. So you can just rub your hands together, and it's a little bit of experimentation initially. What pressure feels nice? What speed feels nice? Some people do it like this. Some people do it like they're washing their hands. For me, I just love this. And what I find myself doing, and you can see my body just automatically does it, I just gently rock as I'm doing it. And we know that rocking stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is that peace and rest system. So for me, this not only changes the internal wiring, it also stimulates that rest response. Now, if I were to do this and just give you an instruction or tell you how you were feeling, so I might say inappropriately, you are happy. If you're not happy, what does your body do with that? Does it nicely accept it in and go, oh yeah, you're right, I hadn't noticed? It rejects it out of hand, right? Because it's not true. It's like, no, I'm not. So what if does is it's a sneaky backdoor in. Because I'm not saying you are, but what if you were allows you to try feeling it without having to feel it's absolutely true. So it's a beautiful, sneaky way of getting into the neurology. So hands is one. The other one is from shoulders to elbows. Now, really curious. I don't know if it's just me or whether it's all people. But this for me feels very different than if I swap my hands around and do it with the other hand on top. So again, a bit of experimentation. Which one feels nicer for you? My right hand on the top always feels nicer. And it feels a bit like a warm hug. And it does release all those hug, hormones, the serotonins, the oxytocins. And it just feels lovely. Now, for some people, what they'll do is they'll rotate. And they'll do a few of the arms, a few of the hands, and I'll tell you the third one in a moment. For other people, they just prefer one and they just stick with it. It doesn't matter. All of them work, and it really doesn't matter which one you use. The third one, I've got to take my glasses off, which is why I probably don't use that one as much. So it's kind of underneath the eyes. And anyone who's had kids will know the power of just stroking their face. Now we know the neurology and the physiology behind why that's so powerful. So it's either underneath the eyes or like a heart shape from the top of the nose around the face down to the chin. And if you kind of do it with the flat of your hand down the side of your face, you're also using the palm of your hand at the same time. So you're stimulating 2 of those areas. So it's entirely up to you which one you use, or whether you use all 3 or 2 of the 3. I'll use the hands just because that's my favorite. And then what I thought we could do is go around the group, and if you don't want to, it's fine, but anyone who wants to, just offer to the group a what if that is encouraging, a what if that is going to be good for the next couple of weeks in lockdown. I'll read you a couple of Lynn's out of her book. I'll just randomly pick some. So this one's towards the end. It's 40 days of what ifs. This is day 37. What if strength sometimes looks different from what we've thought? What if strength sometimes looks different from what we thought? Let me find another one. What if God's plan is for the restoration of all things? Find another. I'm looking for short ones. What if the way God answers our prayers really is for our good? You can see what she's doing. What she does is she gives a what if and then a beautiful kind of 2 or 3 page exploration of that. We're just going to offer each other some beautiful what ifs. And I do this with my clients quite a lot when we've been using Havening. Havening's really great for unhooking emotions that are not helpful. So one of the kind of biggest uses, I guess, in terms of extreme therapy is PTSD. And you can actually unhook the PTSD by using Havening. And then at the end, some nice what ifs of how they would like it to be. What if you could find peace and calm? What if you could find joy in everything you do? You see where I'm going with it? What if you are highly favored? Another one of Lynn's. So just think about what a what if would be, and maybe pick one that is beautiful for you right now, because I almost guarantee that whatever is a good one for you, someone else out there will be going, oh, I needed to hear that too. What if today you choose grace instead of perfection? There's a powerful one. So everyone know what we're going to do? We're just going to go around the room and we're going to be doing some havening, because this is what then allows that to open that back door and allow it into your system. I will start us off and we'll just do a what if with a few moments of havening, and then someone else can jump in when they feel that they want to add another one in. So what if these next 2, 3, 4 weeks, however long it is a blessing? What if you realized just how much God loves you? Feel free to share some for the group.
What if God holds you in the palm of his hands?
I love that. Did anyone else feel that go right through your body? Like I felt a shiver go up from the palm of my hands right up my arms. Beautiful. What if God holds you in the palm of his hand?
What if, sorry.
Like a London bus, they all come together.
Yeah.
Valerie, you go first.
What if you can be alone without being lonely?
Oh, beautiful. What if you can be alone without being lonely? Whoa. Nicole, jump in.
What if in this time of uncertainty, God's provision is enough?
Notice what's happening to your body as people offer these beautiful what ifs. Notice where you feel it. Notice what you feel. Powerful, powerful neurological change going on. Anyone else got any they want to encourage people with? lift people up with?
What if we are blessed?
Oh, what if we are blessed?
What if God has something special for each of us every day?
What if God has something special for each of us every day? Beautiful.
What if I don't have to carry everything?
Oh, what if we don't have to carry everything? Helen, just rub your hands together and let that go into your neurology. What if you don't have to carry everything? What if you realize just how much God was carrying it already to ease the burden? What if you allowed him to do the carrying?
That's the one.
What if, is it working?
Yep.
What if this is a time for rest?
Oh, beautiful. What if this is the time for rest?
What if this is a time to hope?
Or what if this is the time for hope? Any others come to mind as people are saying this? What if this is the time for a new beginning?
What if this is the time to draw closer to God?
Oh, beautiful. What if it's the time to draw closer to each other? How's your body feeling with all those beautiful what if statements flooding around your neurology?
Suddenly the roof feels like it's come off, like rather than being, I don't know, cramped in and fighting for freedom, it's like it's right there anyway.
Beautiful.
The freedom is there.
What if you realized you were already free? So what that's doing in your system, it has two neurological and physiological responses. One is it changes your brain waves into what's called a delta wave. And the delta wave, normally you get in deep sleep and meditation. It's not a normal everyday feeling. So to be able to create that while you're wide awake and while you're connecting with God is a really beautiful feeling. The other thing that it does is it changes how the neurons connect with each other. So I don't know what you know about neuronal anatomy. They don't connect with each other. They don't touch. There's a small gap between them, and that gap's called the synapse. And the only way you can pass a message down the synaptic chain is if the receiving synapse recognizes it. And that's why we get hooked on, emotions that upset us. This one recognizes it really quickly, so it takes it on board and it lets you feel that. But you can disrupt that through havening so that this receiving neuron goes, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to pass it on. And so you disrupt the pathway and you can create new pathways. And what we've been doing here is creating beautiful new pathways of what ifs. So you can also use it, although I would always recommend you use it to unhook emotions with a trained therapist, rather than trying to do that on your own while you're playing. But absolutely go and play with how you want to feel, or a what if statement. So the other way you can use it is pick an emotion that you want to feel. I'm just going to randomly pick one, let's say joy. And just saying and feeling joy as you rub your hands together will create a neurological pathway for joy. And the more you do that, the more it will recognize it. So when you only get a slight little, oh, was that joy? It will recognize it and it'll pass it through, and you'll be able to feel that throughout your whole body. So anyone got any questions about havering? Because that's a real kind of, you know, quick whizzy tour around what's quite a complicated neurological therapy. But like a lot of these things, when you start to actually use them, they can be really simple and really safe and really gentle. What if you were to practice this while you were praying? What if you were to do it a couple of times a day to deliberately create that connection to God and to yourself? So that's my what if, inspired by Havening and Lynn Packer, and you'll all meet Lynn Packer at the conference when we finally get together in a room. She's a truly inspirational speaker. Okay, ready for another one? So we've done 2 so far. We've done a bit of breathing. We've done what if. The other one, I wanted to work directly on emotions. And I wanted to share with you some work I use with my clients by a lady called Suzanne David, who is a psychotherapist in America. Now, if I can get that right up, you can see close enough. So what she says is, as human beings, and it's not just her that says it, we're actually quite bad at knowing what emotion we feel. Anyone got any idea how many emotions it's possible to feel in the human body? This blew my mind when I read this figure. That gives you a hint that it's quite big, right? Have a guess.
36.
36. Put 2 zeros on the end. Yeah, 3,600 emotions. There is no way I could list them all or name them all or even academically know them all, let alone feel them. And most adults feel between 10 and 12 in a day. And what we tend to do is we put them in umbrellas, which is why I like Suzanne David's work. So let's take the word joy just now that I used. We might say, oh, we feel joyful. But actually, under joy, there might be 20 different emotions. Might even be more than that. And it's really healthy to kind of get really specific and go below the umbrella name for it and feel, well, how is that joy a little bit different from this joy? And what would I call this one? And what would I call that one? So I quite often, with clients who have struggled with feeling, and anyone who's been hurt, it's really, really commonplace to just cut the heart off. The problem with that is we not only cut off the pain, we cut off all the joy. We cut off all the positive, resourceful emotions as well. So opening that back up, we open it back up with some of the positive ones. It does mean, of course, that we will also be able to feel the ones that we're less comfortable with. So it's about learning to manage both of those and being okay with them. So for today, I thought we'd do a good one. So Suzanne David's yellow umbrella is happy. So I thought we'd just create what words for us we would put under our umbrella for happy. So just feel free to kind of shout out. For me, I would definitely put joy under happy, for example.
Relief.
Relief. Yeah, nice one.
Comfort.
Comfort. Yeah, beautiful.
Safe.
Safe, loved. Cheeky.
Carefree.
Carefree. Nice.
Silly.
Silly.
Laughter.
Laughter.
Content.
Content. Bouncy.
Excited.
Excited. See how quickly we came up? I wasn't counting them, but we must have just come up with 15 or 20 words for happy. Now, Suzanne David's happy was a yellow umbrella. Feel into happy in all those words. Loved, safe, silly, fun, bouncy. Can't remember all of them. As you feel into those and feel them, not think them, what colour would your happy umbrella be? Because different emotions bring up different colours for people.
Yellow, like the sunshine.
Yellow, yeah. Anyone got not yellow? Because that might have been a little bit kind of, you know, installing in you that it might be yellow because Susan's was yellow?
No, because it's because of the sunshine. Happy
Yeah,
reminds me of sunshine.
Beautiful.
Red.
Red.
Mm.
Pink.
Love.
Pink.
And yeah, the love. So I wondered that because you know, love often has that kind of red. Although if I went down the bottom of the page,
Yeah.
it can be angry too. So it's not about this being right or wrong. It's about what it is for you, what it engenders in you. And why do I kind of encourage you to feel into that color? There's so many things you can do with it. So whatever that color was for you, whether it was red or yellow or a different color, think of all the places where that color comes up for you. So what around the house is that color? What out in nature is that color? I went out for a beautiful, I do this as I go for walks, mindful walks. And I did this with pink the other day. Now, pink for me is happiness, joy is yellow. And I don't know why, but I just seem to be noticing lots of pink flowers on my walk. And I went, oh, pink for me is happy. That's great. So every time I saw pink, I related it to that happy and I felt happy. And if I start to build that, what we call an anchor to that color, then if I deliberately place pink things around my house or yellow, whichever color you've picked, then you can remind yourself and feel that color, that emotion by looking at that color almost inadvertently as you walk around the house without even having to think about it. And it's a beautiful way of creating the emotional feel you want within a place. So think about what color that umbrella would be for you. And then think about how you can place that color anywhere and everywhere in the house, especially while we're in lockdown. But also, if that's how you want to feel out on your walks, deliberately look for that color out on your walk. And something called your reticular activating system, it's like your internal sat nav or TomTom. As soon as you say you're looking for it, it will see it. A bit like when you buy a new car, as soon as you're looking at, I don't know, Volkswagen Beetle or whatever it is you might buy, suddenly you see them all around the roads. Now, it's not that there's more of them, it's that you have set a direction in your attention and focusing to see them. So set that color as an intention, not just for the color, but with the feeling of the emotion that it brings to it. Really powerful, simple way of using mindfulness in every day. And pretty much all of my clients, if we're working on feelings, I will get them to find something or buy something or go into an op shop and get something. It doesn't have to be expensive, but something that is that, the reason I say to attach it to something is like you can give yourself a gift every time you see it. So it's like this beautiful gift of that choice of emotion, and just have it somewhere really, really visible in every room in your house, if you like. When you buy things, think about it. If you buy a gratitude journal or a diary or Post-it notes or whatever it is, be really deliberate with the color that you pick. What color is that for you? Now, for me, wisdom is purple. So I usually have a set of purple Post-it notes that if I want to leave myself a good reminder message about some wisdom I've come up with, it'll be on a purple Post-it note. So the deliberate use of color linked to emotion can be really, really powerful. What comes up for you as I talk about that? What color have you realized you've got a lot of in the house? And what color is that for you? Like, what emotion is that for you?
I realized that color is, or is someone else talking? Ah, I realized my color is that color turquoise that you paint the inside of dinghies. And that's because from time to time I've been able to go away on a boat, the kind of boat that you row out to in a dinghy. And I really love that turquoise color.
Yeah.
It's such a happy, carefree color.
Happy and carefree, beautiful. So you imagine putting that turquoise color around your bedroom, in clothes you wear, and knowing that every time you just see that color, you go, oh, I feel happy and carefree. Yeah. Really, really powerful way of stimulating emotions And as I say, once you've done it a few times, you don't even have to do it consciously. It will just happen for you, and you'll walk into a room and you go, oh, I feel good. Oh, look, all of this color is around the room. There are some colors that are supposedly known to be, you know, relaxing or happy or calm or whatever, energetic. But for me, I think we're so complex as human beings. I prefer to work with each individual client as to what that color is for them, rather than me saying, go and use this color, because everybody is different. And sometimes people will surprise me. Black for me was a little bit of I'm not sure what emotion black brings up for me. And I put a post up recently about my pink mindful walk and said this, and someone else came back with some beautiful meanings of black. And I went, oh, I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't felt into that. So yeah, what it is for you and what you want to feel in that moment is the key and the focus, really. Okay, awesome. So I'm aware of the time, and I've got one more. I always want to put in gratitude, right? Gratitude for me is just such a powerful way of changing how we feel about something. There is a story behind my gratitude practice, and I have the conference to thank for that. Now, I can't remember her surname, but Nikki, who came and spoke about her breast cancer journey and her 1,000 days of grace, and who was there for that conference? Yeah, that really inspired me. The fact that someone who knew she was dying could deliberately focus every day, 1,000 days of grace. And if you ever read those, they really were beautiful, beautiful, uplifting posts, even on the toughest of days. And some of you will know that, gosh, I think it was 5.5 years ago, we had a house fire that actually started in this room. And it's inspired by Nikki, I did what I called my Phoenix gratitude. So it was a post on Facebook. Now, it wasn't every day, but it was a great way of me focusing on the positive, finding something to be grateful for, and also letting other people know how we were in the process, like what we were doing. And is Diane still on the line? Diane, go on, put your face on. Diane was my savior after the fire. She was actually at work that night, and I rang her but got her husband. And I said, hey, Ian, can we come and sleep on your sitting room floor tonight? And I think he was a bit thrown, because I didn't realize I had a spare bedroom. He's like, why do you want to sleep on my sitting room floor? I got a spare room if you need it. And I kind of said, we've had a house fire, and Diane and her family just embraced us and took us in for a couple of weeks, I think it was, before we found a house to rent. So yeah, thank you, Diane. You will forever be part of our family because of stepping up in that moment. Just beautiful, beautiful family to be able to take a whole family in, a family potentially in trauma, but we didn't do trauma really. We were shocked. We had lots to sort out, but partly because of that gratitude diary, we didn't really do trauma. So we did gratitude and breathing as our two main ways of coping. And what it does is rewires the head to be more positive. So we're negatively wired as human beings. And if you left the brain to its own resources, the chances are it would come up with a negative story. But if you deliberately focus on the positive, and of course, as Christians, if we put that alongside prayer and we put it alongside God's glory, right back to that first breathing exercise, then what we can do is literally rewire the brain neurologically so that we think and feel more positive about whatever's going on. Look at Job. He never lost hope. He never kind of bought into the world must hate me, God must hate me. So gratitude for me, always up there, my probably number 2, breathing's probably number 1, gratitude number 2. And I thought, let's try it out. So we've just heard the news that we're in lockdown for another probably at least 2 weeks from Tuesday. Let's go around and just share some gratitude for that. What can we come up with now? It's got to be believable enough. Otherwise, like we were talking initially, your body will reject it. Right, so it's got to be something that will land with you as realistically positive or grateful for. So I'm going to start us off, and I'm going to say I'm grateful that of all the places to be locked down, I have a beautiful view out the back where I can still see nature and I can still see the water. Who else wants to jump in?
I'm grateful for all the extra time it's giving me to work on my garden.
Beautiful. And your beautiful garden.
Mine's a bit the same because I'm a beekeeper and bees don't take any notice of the lockdown. So I need to go to the gardens at Pura, which is about 2 or 3 acres of garden that I've spent the last 15 years on. Or maybe it's only 12. Anyway, so that's within walking distance. And then I've got my gardens here, and my husband and I are working on the gardens together. And that's very precious to me. I'm very grateful.
Beautiful. And Helen's going to be running a flax weaving workshop for us at the conference. So yeah, using her garden expertise in other ways. Who else? What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful because I've just started a proper exercise routine. And if I've got 2 more weeks to do it, I've got time to get into a habit before I go back to a different kind of lifestyle.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Because habits are formed by repeating those neural circuits over and over and over. Yeah, imagine how simple and straightforward it'll be by the end of 2 weeks.
Lovely.
What's anyone else grateful for?
That I can work from home and that I still have a job and that I've got a good boss. Yeah, I've been really blessed.
Beautiful.
With those things.
Beautiful. And 3 is a good number. They often say with gratitude practice to do 3 things you're grateful for. What I find is once I get into it, 3 is not enough and I end up just doing more and more and more and more. But yeah, 3 with what it is and then a little sentence behind it. So, you know, you're grateful for a good boss because, grateful being able to work at home because, little sentence really starts to wire it into your system. Beautiful. They do also say writing it down is way more powerful than voicing it. So getting a pen, it brings it out of a different part of your neural cortex. More likely to have more of an impact by writing it down. Anyone else? What are you grateful for?
I'd like to say I'm grateful for Zoom. Wouldn't be on this without it. And I'm grateful for just the different ways we can stay connected with the different apps and mobile phones, landlines. They're all a real blessing.
Yeah, beautiful. Who would have known, what was it, a year and a half ago, that Zoom would become such an important part of our lives?
Yeah.
Never heard of it before then.
Sign language. I'm grateful that I'm getting paid to stay at home and work in my beautiful garden and get my house all tidied up and having the rest as well.
Beautiful. Seeing the wood pigeons I saw on your Facebook page.
Yeah. Loving it.
Anyone else? What are you grateful?
I'm grateful that I'm now retired.
Oh, yeah. What opportunities that opens up for a different way of being. Beautiful. Anyone else want to share what they're grateful for before we close off with maybe some prayer for each other? So I really do recommend that you go and get a little $2, well, when it opens again, you find a little $2 diary, and every day in your little slot, you just write down 3 things you're grateful for. And it will just slowly and gently rewire your brain to be more positive. And if you are in a difficult situation, and lots of people are, I know lots of small businesses that are struggling to stay afloat and keep their head above water. I know families who maybe don't have the peaceful home to lock down in, and there's, you know, stress and angst within the home. Just focusing on the little bits, and it only has to be little bits that you can be grateful for within that, can be enough to get you through. So just a reminder what we've done. One, we did breathing, and that sense that if you want to calm down, you do longer breath out. And that if you want to be in that beautiful, connected, I think it's a great place to pray from, that even breath, where you got 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out. And you can use that breath out to talk to God, or to chant, or to say, you know, an affirmation, any of those ways of breathing out. So that was number one, was breath. Number two was What If, based on Lynn Packer and Havening. So a reminder, Lynn Packer's book, which we'll have available at the conference for you, I think. And that just simple what if. What if? What if all could go well? What if you found blessings in unexpected places? And just get really creative with what your what ifs are. If you've got kids as well, that's a really lovely one to do with kids. Naming emotions and being really, really specific was our number three, using Susan David's umbrellas. So the color of the umbrella, or the names underneath. Something I didn't say when we're talking about that, apparently, if you feel an emotion and you don't do anything with it, so you don't try and be clever and kind of deconstruct it or ruminate on it or put meaning to it or any of those things, if you just feel an emotion and let it go through your body, it goes in 90 seconds. The only reason it hangs around is because we kind of grab hold of it and then put our thinking to it and make meaning of it and put story around it, and that must mean X, Y, and Z. So being able to name the emotion is really, really powerful, because by the time you've named it, really put your color to it, it's kind of already going out the back door. And then number four, gratitude. 3 things every day, preferably writing them down with a little bit of a sentence behind why you're grateful, is the most effective way at changing your brain to be more positively aligned than negatively aligned. Anyone got any questions, comments? What's your favorite tool? You might have different ones to me.
I think the breathing is really cool, because if you're driving, you can still breathe.
Absolutely.
Like often, and you can also, if you're in a room with a whole lot of other people, you can still breathe. Like I often think, but if you're in a large room that's full of other people, it can be off-putting for them. And you know, prayer's good, but if you're driving and you close your eyes, it's not a good look either.
Not a good idea to close your eyes while driving. But yeah, breathing, you can literally do it anywhere. And one of the things I love about breathing when you're in a difficult circumstance is it can just give you that moment of pause. That just that time to take a breath in and to breathe it out gives you that moment of pause, so that you don't so much react to something, you can respond to something. They say that gap is around 1/10 or 1/5 of a second that you've got to really intervene and choose a different way forward. And what that breath does for me is extends that gap, so that instead of having to do it really, really fast, it just gives me that little bit more space, so that I can make a different choice. And do I always? No, I sometimes still react to old patterns, but I'm getting better as I get older. By the time I'm 100, maybe I'll be better at it. But anyone else got any other favorites?
I like to visualize a happy place.
Oh, lovely. What's your happy place, Jennifer?
Down by the sea.
Yeah.
I wish I had your deck, Suzanne.
Yeah, we can share it after lockdown's out. But yeah, finding a place in your head to go, and then doing all the sensory around it. So if you imagine your happy place, or create a happy place, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? And just again, going into the real specifics of that, each of those effectively becomes an anchor. And then you only have to imagine that happy place and you're back there. So create, if you haven't got one, absolutely brilliant technique. Creating a happy place in your imagination. Your brain, as bright as it is, doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So by imagining being there, you get exactly the same neurological response as if you were there. So go and dream up your happy place and go there often and combine some of these together. What if you could go to your happy place? When you're in your happy place, doing a lovely long breath out. When you're in your happy place, being grateful for what it is, if it's water, if it's bush, if it's colour. So you can join these together. You don't have to do them individually. Beautiful. Any other favourites? Because there's lots and lots of different ways. I just thought, what can I put together in an hour to give you some little toolbox? Go on, Helen.
I was just going to say, you're talking about a happy place. I am not at the beach. My background is my nanny's beach, and there's my place, and it's the most beautiful place in the whole world. And you're right, I'm sitting pretending I'm there, and I can smell the seaweed and the salt and everything, and I'm thinking, so it's a proper technique. It's just not me being funny in my head.
Yeah, no, it's a very powerful technique, visualizations. A lot of sports people use it. Linford Christie, I don't know, see, this is taking me back to my UK roots and a few years ago, but he was our kind of hero 100-meter runner for a long time in Great Britain. And there's a beautiful interview with him by the BBC. And they asked him a curious question. You know, when they are all kind of lined up and then they go across introducing them in athletics match and they say, hey, Joe Bloggs from France, and they go, hello, and you know, Linford Christie from UK and somebody else from America, and they said, why do you not respond? Like, why do you not acknowledge the crowd? Why do you not say hello, or you know, whatever? What's your focus on at that moment? And he said, I'm seeing myself on the gold medal podium. He's already run the race in his head. He's already won. And a lot of sports people use visualization in that way. They've run the race over and over. Now, Joe Average, who's not an Olympic athlete, what do? We run everything that could go wrong. Don't we? Is that just me, or do people do that? We think about who's not going to like us. We think about what we're going to make a mistake in. We think about not being able to catch the train, whatever it is. So yeah, really, really powerful to put our thoughts in good use and visualize something happening as we want it to, rather than allowing that negative story and wiring to create a story that's not helpful. Beautiful. Nicole, you were going to throw one in as well.
It's just something I don't fully remember what it was, but someone said to me, if you're feeling, I don't know, threatened or something, to imagine you are really small and sitting at the base of your skull.
Ooh.
Like, and so imagine that your body, I guess, make yourself feel bigger, like your body to protect you a bit more. I don't know, but it works. You imagine yourself, I don't know, sitting back there, little me, and my body suddenly feels big and I feel a bit protected by my, I don't know, I don't quite understand that one. I don't know.
Nice. It's called working with submodalities. So everything that you do, whether it's sound, whether it's visual, whether it's whatever, feeling, there's a whole series of kind of characteristics of that. So if you take a visual for a moment, let's take our happy place. If you want to really feel that happy place, you're not going to make it tiny, black and white and put it in the corner of the room. Right? You're going to make it right in front of your face, massive color with a bit of movement, a bit of sound, a bit of smell. What you're doing is tweaking the submodalities to get the outcome that you want. So that's what they're playing with there. The other thing you can do is the reverse of that. If somebody is giving you a bit of grief, you imagine them really tiny. So tiny that their voice goes all squeaky. and you can't even take them seriously anymore. And then you put them on a pinhead in the corner of the room and you end up just laughing. They're no longer a threat. So yeah, playing with the specifics of how we store memory to change the storage of that memory, so they're no longer a big threat or a danger to us. Now, of course, there's a safety in that safety mechanism's there for a purpose, to keep us safe. So we don't want to take away something that we need to be alert to. But the vast majority of our threats in the everyday world are not life and death threats anymore. That email that comes in, that phone call, that look somebody gives, and we're safe to play with that, or just kind of mock it in some way. I know Harry Potter is not always a popular thing to mention in all Christian circles. I just think it's a great film for, for what it is, just for pure entertainment. But one of the spells they do is they imagine their worst nightmare coming out of a closet, basically, and they have to change the image. So a spider gets put on eight roller skates, so it falls over and it can't stand upright. Same thing, you're playing with the characteristics and the submodality of it. One of the old public speaking things used to be, just imagine your audience all naked, because it makes you laugh and they're no longer a threat because they're the ones that feel awkward. So yeah, begin to play with, when you get those images, if it's a resourceful image, make it even more resourceful by turning the color up, making it bigger, putting some beautiful sound on it. And if it's an unresourceful image, common ones, and again, you've got to work out for yourself what works, but common ones are to shrink it down, make it black and white, put it somewhere a long way away from you. The number of tiny balls of anxiety that I have, that I look after for people in my office. And I always say, if you want to take it out with you, then you can, but funnily enough, they don't, they leave it with me. So you could have a little metaphorical, bin container for those bits you don't want to carry around with you. Maybe even write it on a piece of paper and put that bin in that box so it can't get out. Get it out your body. Beautiful. See, you're all experts already at this. So we've come to the top of an hour. I could quite happily sit and talk to you for another couple of hours, but I'm sure you've got gardens to garden and happy places to go and visualize, and maybe some home baking to do, or whatever it is you're going to do today. But I just thought before we go, it would be really lovely just to pray over each of us, to pray for the conference for when it comes up again, and it will come up again, and just to pray over the country as we, wait a little bit longer, particularly in Auckland. So I don't know you all well enough to know whether you'd want to jump in and pray. I will say an opening line or two. Feel free then to contribute, pray into that, and I'll close it all together in a few minutes, and we'll go on our merry way. So let's just pray. Lord Jesus, thank you. You made us such amazing creatures that we have so much ability to change our experience of this world. And Lord, I pray that you would direct that experience, that we would see you and hear you and feel you in everything that we do. And I do pray for us as a country, and Auckland in particular, as we face this longer lockdown. Lord, be with those people who are struggling financially, emotionally, mentally, physically. Help them to make it through this time. Prompt people to be in touch, to reach out. And Lord, keep them safe.
Thank you, Father, for revealing yourself in your words, that we can know you more. Thank you that we don't have to wonder who you are or your plans for us. Thank you that we can know your loving heart that pursues us to the ends of the earth, to death and back. Thank you that we can trust who you are. You do not change. You are as you have revealed yourself in your word. and we can rely on that. Thank you that we can gather together and encourage each other. Thank you that there is nothing unexpected in any of this for you. That we can rely on your guiding hand, seeing all things through to your beautiful completion.
Lord, help us to look at this time, this season, not as a lockdown, but as an opportunity to get closer to you. Help us to reach out to others. Help us to do all those things that we put on our, task list for when we are free. Help us to tackle all those and not just witter away this time that you have blessed us with. Help all those who are suffering financially, who are worried about their jobs, about their businesses, about their family situations, about their health. Be with them, surround them with your love, O Lord.
God of glory, we give you praise. Thank you. Thank you that we can turn to you, rely on you, know that you're there, know that you've gone before us in whatever it is to come next. Lord, bless each and every person who's on this call and any that listens to it afterwards, and guide us in the redating of the conference so that those ladies who need to just draw close to you or to other people can make the date that we come up with. In your precious name, Lord, we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you,
So I'm gonna
Suzanne. Thanks
stop
for
the
this.
recording.